Hey everyone, I'm gonna move the remote for the camera there. Hope everyone's having an awesome night. It is a beautiful night here in Florida. It actually just finished sprinkling a little bit, and we can use that. The lawn definitely approves. The new plants do, and I'm not doing work on vehicles tonight. I'm still very sick, even though I pulled it off pretty well. I'm So if you see me like just snot dripping out of my nose, just ignore it. Um, but I got some news tonight that I wanted to share with you guys, and it's really personal to me, and so that's why I wanted to bring it up here on the channel. It's also relative to the channel because you've seen the race cars that I own. They've been at this track. Um, the Viper has spent hundreds of laps there. The Miata has done tons of laps there as well. Trying to think, my truck hasn't done any laps at Pitt Race, although it's been to the paddock. And what other car do I own? The Jeep hasn't done laps, but it's been to the paddock. So the limo is the only thing that I own that has not been to Pitt Race. And I found out tonight that Pitt Race, which I consider my home track, even though it's 3 hours away from the house in Ohio, it's where I have the most laps. I would say I have thousands of laps there. I haven't really counted, but I definitely have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of laps. So, hey, Liz. Hey, Diane. Yeah, Diane's been to Pitt Race. She has laps there. Well, she has parade laps in her car, someone else driving it, but she's definitely a fan of the facility. She's been there a bunch, and she knows the owners really well, just like I do. The owners, Jim and Kathy, are absolutely outstanding, fantastic people. They are the coolest of the cool. They are, insanely wealthy, but probably two of the most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet. They are extremely nice. They're very smart. They're very fun, and I'm honored to have them as, driving friends. They're great. They have an awesome facility, and they had an awesome facility. Sorry, the whole thing was Pitt Race announced that they were being sold and closed, and the rumors are that it's getting bulldozed and either becoming a data center or for a housing project. But either way, whole thing's going away. So the race community, the last probably 4 or 5 hours, has absolutely exploded online. And why have they done this? Because Pitt Race is one of the nicest tracks in the country. By nicest, I mean the showers in the bathroom in the paddock are nicer than the showers at the hotel closest to the track. That's how nice this facility is. It is beautiful. Now, that's just the paddock. The track, absolutely fantastic. Now, I've been going to that track for a very, very, very long time. And I was there when it was just the north track. And you could do, if you were good, if you were Kuno Whitmer, you could do a sub 1 minute lap. Now you're running about a 2 minute lap if you're cooking through there. A little bit less, and if you're Jim Stout, you're one. He has the record there. I want to say it's 146 or 144. If you're Luke McGrew, you are 148, and if you're me, you're 150, 152, somewhere in there. Yeah, Diane, we first met there. It was, I think it was at one of the Viper events. This has to be 2010, 2012, and yeah, I mean, ages and ages and ages ago. And back when your kids were actually kids. Yeah. The Thunder Roadster is what he did, the 140. I think he did a 146 or a 144 in the Thunder Roadster. It's just insanity. That is cooking around there. But then again, it's Jim. Now, Jim, Jim, he's like 5'7", 5'6", 5'7". He's got a beard, glasses. He's super energetic. He's super fun. Very, very smart businessman. And he's an awesome driver. Kathy's like the same thing. Kathy's like maybe 5'2", 5'3", and maybe 100 pounds if you put a 10-pound weight on her. And so they get in these cars, and they're tiny people, and they just haul because they don't weigh like me. I weigh 190 pounds. They don't weigh that much, so they just cook. And they own the tracks, so they just do lap after lap after lap. They have an awesome team. Jim's son Jeff takes care of the cars, and he does an amazing job. He and his crew are fantastic. Tom Sessions is their remote mechanic guy. Tom's I don't know. He's probably the best Viper tech outside of Dodge, like who's never worked for Dodge or Chrysler or Stellantis or anything. So Tom's awesome. And he has the thickest North Carolina accent you will ever hear in your life. Tom's great. I talked to Tom tonight too, and he's just as blown away as the rest of us. We're all kind of trying to figure this out, because this is like going to Pitt Race, whether you were doing a track day, whether you're doing a Viper event, whether you were doing NASA stuff or SCCA or Lemons or whatever it was, you always knew that once you got, it's a crazy like climb up this hill up to the facility. Once you got to that gate, you were at one of the best tracks in the country. Best tracks in the country, I promise. Jim and Kathy put millions and millions of dollars into that place. The buildings, the track surface itself, the timing tower. When I first got there, the timing tower was actually 2 shipping containers stacked on top of each other. That's what it was. It's like, what the hell is this? Okay. And they had just built the conference center at the top of the hill, by the water tower. So that's how long I've been there. And it was originally called Beaver Run or Beaver Un. I don't know. There's only one R, so I don't know what it was. It's a sad thing that a facility like that goes away, because everyone, all of my track friends, all the people that I raced with, everyone said Pitt Race is, one of the premier tracks. Guys from California, guys from other countries would come to race at Pitt Race, because it is so damn nice. I was wanting to attend the Lemons race. Yeah, and that's the other nice part, is the location of it is great. You're about an hour north of Pittsburgh. You're 3 hours from Columbus, 3 hours from Cleveland. 5. Diane, you're east of Pittsburgh. You're over towards Philly, right? So, 4 or 5 hours from Philly? It had a really, really great location. And trying to figure all this out, like, what I do know is how much Jim and Kathy loved that place. When they built the new administration building that had the pro shop, and the pro shop was on the bottom level, along with a whole EMT and like a little miniature emergency room. They had that on the ground floor. Upstairs were offices, and there was Jim and Kathy's office that had this big deck that looked out like over the facility. And it was awesome. And we were up there, and Jim had a glass of wine, and I'd never seen him happier. It was amazing. 5 to the center of Philly. Okay, so you weren't too far away. But watching Jim have a glass of wine on his new administration building, out on the deck, just outside of his office, with his wife, I saw, the happiest guy in the world. And for him to sell that facility, it had to be some kind of insane number. Like, he was joking around, like, and they called his bluff, and they're like, okay, like, if I sold, hey, do you want to sell your Miata? Yeah, give me $9 million for the Miata. And they're like, do you take cash? And I would be like, oh my God, $9 million for my Miata. Okay. It would have to be something absolutely insane like that. Because not only the time, effort, and all of that they put into it, but also the money. And I know it wasn't a huge moneymaker for them. It was basically a playground for Jim and Kathy, and it was very expensive to operate. I don't think it was turning huge. It's not, $1 million a year ROI on that thing, but I also don't think it was a huge burden. They wouldn't have invested into that place year after year after year. Last year, they just built the 2-story garages just by the right next to Spectator Hill, the ramp going up to Spectator Hill, right by the other side of the administration buildings. And they were beautiful. And they were 2-story. They were kind of offset like this. They were great. And, rent those out, lease those out. And you could also rent them. I think you could rent them long-term, like per season. So, for them to decide to sell has to be major, major. The check that the company or investment group or whatever wrote them had to be absolutely massive. And, I'm trying to come up with the positives from this. And it's hard, because it's difficult for us, the Joe average. We were going there for races or going to watch events. The MotoGP stuff was there, and those guys are batshit crazy. So those were always fun. The Grand Prix, the Vintage Grand Prix was awesome. There were a ton of other events there that were a ton of fun. So let's see. Yeah, Spectator Hill is great, because you can see basically from right after turn 17 all the way down the front straight, turn 1, and second half of the front straight into just before turn 2. Then it drops into Coyote Gulch, which, by the way, Kathy named. And as they come out of Coyote Gulch, then you could watch them go through the S's and back onto the north track, all the way up to 13, and just before they crest the hill, you had this really great section from Spectator Hill where you could watch huge sections of track. And it was nice. You could spend the whole day up there. A lot of radios, team spotters would go up there, and you see guys with radios all the time. Tasha Deer drivers. Yeah, they had all the law enforcement. Pennsylvania State Patrol did all of their testing and stuff there. So those guys are going to have to find a new facility to do it, because if everything's getting bulldozed, and not only that, they had a huge karting facility. The Wilson Circuit is a famous circuit for karting. It was a huge go-kart track. It was awesome. And Ralph Shields took me out on the go-kart track there. It was fun. We had so much fun with that. So you had this great go-kart track too, and all those people and all of their gear was also stored there in little mini garages. Then you had a huge asphalt lake right outside the karting track, and that was they had drift events there. So you also had guys coming from all over, like Drift Indy would come over. There were guys from the East Coast that would come over and do events there as well. It's all gone. So now these people have to find a different facility. And I was looking at where the next closest one is. Mid-Ohio would be the next closest track going that way. And then going the other way would be New Jersey, Summit Point, New Jersey, Motorsports Park. Going south would be VIR. Now you have this huge gap. Going north would be Watkins Glen. You have this huge gap in the country where there's no track. So, it sucks. It sucks because, you know, for me, that's my home track. That's where I have the most laps um, in all of my vehicles, in the Viper, and the Miata, and the SRT4. I have incredible memories there with um, driving with the SRT track experience, working with those guys. Um, uh, you know, racing with Nolan, the Wheeland series, the Nara series. I have all of this stuff like in my head, and I'm like, it's all gone now, right? So, yeah, it kind of sucks. And this is a lot like what's happening in the drag racing world, except that's people bitching about noise. And don't get me wrong, I mean, the Pro Mod cars and the Top Fuel cars are crazy loud. It does sound like an airstrike when they go ripping down the track. But people need to understand that when they're going to, build their McMansion right next door to a drag strip, I don't know what you think's going to happen. They're not drag racing golf carts. That's big boy toys. And then they bitch about it. Like, come on, you guys, you knew that was there. There's a lot of states that are enacting laws now where you're not allowed to bitch about it. I think Iowa has one. I think Indiana has one. I know they're working on it here in Florida. But yeah, it's a little different because when tracks close down, it makes it harder for us to go racing and do the fun stuff that we want to do. So now the question is, where do we do that? We're going to be missing out on pit race. Like the Lemon schedule is going to have a big gap in it. So we're going to have to, they are going to have to find out where to do another race. And I know Lemons loved going there just because of how nice the facilities were. The Wi-Fi, all the stuff that an event coordinator really wants is there. The timing is immaculate. The timing system is basically brand new. All the wiring, all the plumbing. And if you want to see a contrasting thing, just go to Mid-Ohio. The people that own that have put about $200 into it over the last 30 years, and they haven't really done much. I think they got one set of bleachers and repaved it once. So, yeah. Whereas, at Pitt Race, they built other buildings, extra garages, all this other stuff, just to make it more appealing for people to come there. And Mid-Ohio just counts IndyCar money. That's all they do. So, now there's no chance of IndyCar going to Pit Race. IMSA's out. Pit Race was a very private facility, and they did a lot of private events. But NASA was there all the time. SCCA was there all the time. There was a ton of potential there, and that's all gone now. The question is, where do you go? What do you say? I'm thinking that. Oh, at National Trails? Yeah. Yeah, National Trails is a little different because they have an airport sort of in their backyard or in their side yard. So if you're going to bitch about drag racing, they're going to bitch about the airplanes. It's kind of back and forth with that. And then I don't remember what was on the other side. I'd have to look again. But yeah, I don't think they have that problem at National Trails. There's also, those are a lot of grandfathered homes. That's all kind of grandfathered, and those people understand. It's when you have governments move in the track from Columbia go to who else do we have? Autobahn. We have Indy, which is nice. Then anything else, you got to go to Watkins Glen, or you got to go to VIR. You got to go a lot. Then you have this, big implosion. People are like, well, now 5 hours to drive to VIR versus 2 hours. I wish this was making me healthier, but it's just keeping me alive. So yeah, there's all that other stuff. We will see what happens with it. I don't want to see it bulldozed, obviously. there's also, I just saw this just before coming live with you guys. There's already a petition to save Pitt Race. And I did the math really quick in my head. So let's say they got $100 million for it. Now you got to find 100 people willing to put up $1 million, and they're going to want that $1 million back within a couple of years, each of them. How are you going to do that? It's going to be very difficult. Yeah. So racetracks don't make a ton of money unless you're Indy or Indy and Daytona are probably the tracks that make huge money. So if you're a small track like Pitt Race, it's going to take a lot to, make any kind of money. And I believe Jim and Kathy kept Pitt Race for so long because they loved having a private playground, and because I believe it carried itself. I don't think it had a huge debt every year. So that made it worthwhile. And yeah, I'm guessing something like somebody came to Jim with just an absolutely bonkers offer. Here's 10 acres on Mars and $500 million. And Jim was like, okay, thanks. And made it pretty easy for him to wave goodbye. I will tell you this, though. It is not easy for Jim. It is not easy for Kathy. It is not easy for Jeff. It's not easy for any of the staff. All of the staff there. Doesn't matter. The guys cruising around in the gators, picking up the garbage, super cool. The folks working the gate, doing all the release forms, super cool. Never had an incident of anything other than sheer politeness and kindness and helpfulness from any of the staff. From Jim and Kathy, literally all the way down to whoever, the guy who locks the gate up. Whoever. Doesn't matter. It was probably Jim who locks the gate up. But everyone there was great. All the instructors there were great. I know my friend John Croyle instructed there for a long time. John and I have a shitload of laps there. He has way more than I do. But I know John is, I haven't talked to him yet. I'm sure he is completely, because he lives right by Pitt Race. I'm sure he's probably thinking about selling his house and moving closer to VIR. He's retired, so he can do that shit. So it's a bummer, and we hate to see it. We don't want to see tracks closed down, and we definitely don't want to see tracks closed down for a housing development or a data center or anything like that. We want to see it closed down for an orphanage or a new school or, something positive. We don't want to see it get closed down for stuff that doesn't really work for us. So I didn't really want to rant. I'm going to do, I'll do a few videos. I'll make like a little series about my experiences at Pitt Race. I'll try and put all these stories together. There are literally hundreds of them. So I'll try and put a few together. I'll do a bunch on Facebook and Instagram this week as well. And just so that we have all those memories, and people can look them up again if they really want to. They can go, oh yeah, I remember when that happened, or yeah, and you blew up the engine there and all that. Yeah, we'll at least have some kind of record of all of that stuff. And just a reminder about how really great it was. If you guys want to, you can go back, and on this channel, you can look at, we have live streams from all the races. So you can look at some of the live streams, and you can see us racing at Pitt Race. You can see my friend John's very first lap. Actually, you can't. That's not on there. But I'll get it. I'll get it from John and get it back on here. He has it saved on his phone. But we have a ton of laps at Pitt Race on the live stream here, so you guys can go watch that. And yeah, just sucks. I was really hoping that it would be bigger and better, and they'd keep growing it. Jim and Kathy would, you know, get more cars, and Kathy has her new Porsche and Jim's doing Porsche stuff. So yeah, let's do some more Porsche stuff. No, no. Yeah, the Ren and Stimpy thing. That was last year. That was not as much fun as it sounds, but yeah. So yeah, I'll do a bunch of those, and hopefully we can do some intermixing stuff. Since I've been sick, I actually have still been working on the cars. I know you guys are like, what the hell are you doing? So let me show you one thing quick here. So in the back, in the trunk of the Miata, there's a panel in the trunk that covers the fuel filler hoses and the vent hose. And this is that panel. And it's normally just regular unfinished stamped steel, sheet metal. So I primered and painted it. Why not, right? So yeah, just wanted something nice. I mean, it looks nice, right? It's protected. So anyway, I have been doing stuff. We are also, we being me, since I did the quick release battery terminals, battery cables on the Miata, we're also doing a new, I don't have it, it's over there, a new wiring for this guy, for the battery maintainer hookup. So when I originally did it, I didn't do the wires long enough. Now I can do the wires long enough, run them clean, it'll look a million times better. So still doing stuff on the Miata. And I'm going to go take some more Dayquil, try and get rid of this cold, try and understand everything that's going on, and hopefully, I guess I'm hoping Jim and Kathy take the huge amount of money and they go build an awesome track in between Pittsburgh and Philly. There we go. Yeah. It'd be cool if they held a farewell track day, or we. Yeah, they're not going to do that. I'm pretty sure the new owners are going to keep the gates closed. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Keep an eye on it. Go watch them on Instagram or on Facebook. They've been pretty good about updates. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm guessing that will just go away. So, but yeah, I hope they take the money and they're like, hey, or they put it into, some of their race stuff. I know how much they love racing. I know how much Jim and Kathy both love to race. So I'm hoping that they put it into that. They already have three huge semi rigs. Maybe get a couple more and just drive around the country and hot lap everywhere. But I completely respect them. I understand them. But at the same time, I know that the developers had to send a huge number, lots and lots of zeros, Jim's way in order for him to agree to have everything bulldozed. It would take a lot, because I know how happy he was up on that deck overlooking the facility that he turned great. And Kathy, not discounting her, she was awesome too. But seeing how happy Jim and Kathy were on that deck, I was there. I don't remember. It was a Viper event. Diane, you might have been there. I know Ralph was there, myself, Stretch, Rich and Jen, Kathy and Jim, and the facility literally had just been built. Like you could still smell the carpet still smelled new. So seeing Jim out there on that deck, and just hearing how ecstatic he was about everything that had happened, that whole build thing. Nara, final race of the season. Okay. I don't remember that one. I might have been there for that. I might have been driving with Nolan. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. No, we were in the Wheeling series, but I think that was Nara too. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. I remember it was snowing. So yeah, I hope Jim and Kathy get back into racing, like, get into track ownership. That's the only time I remember hanging with Ralph on the deck. Okay, on the deck of the administration building, or on the deck of the big conference center building? Well, yeah, because if it was Nara, it would have been the conference center. Because the admin building wasn't there until like 2 years ago. And Nara hasn't been around for, I don't know, when did they sell Nara? The administration building? The one up on the hill, or the one up by the water tower, or the one down by the base of Spectator Hill? The pro shop. Okay, so yeah, but I don't think Nara went away about 6 years before that building got built. Jim and Kathy owned Nara, and they sold that to a very nice French couple, and that is now called International GT, and it's actually doing very well. We're having a lot of fun with that. So yeah, it would have been a different event. I don't remember. But yeah, it was fall, right? It was sort of the end of the season. But yeah, if you were there, it was a big Viper event. I remember that. And because I remember Stretch being there, and Rich and Jen, Michael Fargo, I think, was there, and his wife. And we were up on the deck, and Jim and Kathy were just absolutely ecstatic to be up there. And that's how I like to think about Pitt races, just how happy Jim was with everything he'd done there. And he deserved it. He did a great job. Kathy did a great job. The whole crew there, everyone did a great job. I have zero complaints at all about any minute I spent at Pitt race, aside from the dumb shit that I did. Oh, as one of the last awards from an event after Nara ended. Oh, okay. So they reused the awards as prizes. Okay. Yeah. There's probably a lot of leftover Nara stuff. That was a really great series to run into. A lot of big horsepower cars. You start, I think the lowest horsepower car was 400 horsepower. So, a lot of big boys in there. It's a lot of fun. We had a great time in Nara. Not only with the Gen 4, but also with my Gen 3. I raced my Gen 3 in Nara for, I think, a season, maybe 2. Can't remember. Anyway, that's me talking about Pitt race and getting you guys updated on what I read online and all my speculatory bullshit and any sort of insight I have regarding, having Jim and Kathy as track friends. So I also know Ralph Shields is going to be absolutely bummed to the moon and back because he loved Pitt race. It was one of his favorite facilities. So I feel bad for Ralph because, that was a nice, easy drive for him too. So that's a bummer. But move forward. And like I said, hopefully Jim and Kathy put it into another track or, do a lot more racing. Definitely stay in touch with them and, hopefully do more fun stuff in the future. So thank you guys for hanging out tonight. I apologize for the flood nose, and I'm being super congested and trying not to. I'm not drooling snot, which is a good thing. So yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks to all the new subscribers. I've seen a few new people sign on, which is really great. I appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead. I love seeing the notifications that XYZ subscribe to your channel. That's great. If you guys have any questions, comments, whatever, put them down there. I answer every single one. And let's see what else. So yeah, we will be back later this week. Gonna show you guys the finished trunk in the Miata. I'm just gonna go through some of the stuff that I did with regard to the trunk pop, the pneumatic assist with the trunk pop, and I'll show you guys the new wiring for the battery maintainer for the Noco. And then we're going to get the limo back in here, and we're going to do a bunch of work on the limo. We also have FL2K coming up this coming week. Actually, it started today and goes through Sunday or Monday. So if you're in Southwest Florida, in between Tampa and Naples, actually Tampa, Sarasota, Fort Myers, you're going to see some badass cars out there. Sorry. You're going to see some badass cars, not only at the track at Bradenton Motorsports Park and Freedom Factory, but you're going to see some badass cars out on the street too. So keep an eye out for those. We're probably going to go, actually, I'm going to be Friday night. We're doing Berg's birthday dinner in Tampa or in St. Pete. And then we'll be doing FL2K stuff after dinner. So I'll see if I can get some pictures for you guys. I'll put it up on social media. You guys can catch it there. I think that's about it. Yeah. So we'll do more pit race stuff. I'll do some more stories for you guys, and hopefully you like these. I've told them before when I was at the track or when I was talking with other people. So I'll get them on video so that they're there forever and people can look them up. And I'll tag Pit Race in them so they can use them if they want. So I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Don't forget to show someone that you love them. Give them a kiss on the cheek. Give them a kiss on the tip of their nose. Hold their hand. Give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it is far more important for you. All right. Thanks, everyone. I will catch you very soon when I don't have flood nose. All right. Rolly stool. I love the rolly stool. Who doesn't love a rolly stool?